He lied about cheating. He lied about changing. He lied about his ex. He lied about going to therapy, about being sorry, about who he was texting, about why he didn't come home. And you know it. You're not guessing. You're not being paranoid and you're not crazy because you know that he lies. But there are still some things that you believe, and not all of it, right? Just enough to stay stuck. So let's talk about it, because the question isn't why does he lie? It's why do you still believe him? And no, it's not because you're weak or desperate or naive or stupid. It's because he's strategic enough, not smart enough, to mix just enough truth into the lies to keep you off balance. And that's not clumsy, right? It's calculated. But don't forget that it doesn't make him smart. I said strategic. There's a difference, right? It's intuitive. It's not intelligence. Manipulators don't need high IQs. They just need to know what works on you. And they do it over and over until you stop trusting yourself. But if you've ever caught yourself thinking, well, maybe he really means it this time, keep watching, because we're going to talk about why that question right there is keeping you on the hook. I'm Lisa Sunny, toxic relationship expert and trauma bond recovery coach. I help women see the patterns for what they are, not what they hope they'll turn into. So if you're tired of hearing sugar-coated advice that doesn't help, hit subscribe. I don't do fluff. I do real. So let's start with his first trick in the book, right? The almost truth. And then we're going to go through the rest of his tricks. So the almost truth, he doesn't lie with like wild, obvious stories like I'm a secret agent and my phone was dead because I was undercover. He lies like this. Oh, I had a really messed up childhood. Yeah, my ex was emotionally abusive too. I've never had someone believe in me like you do. And those things might actually be true, but he's not sharing them to connect with you. He's using them to protect himself. It's what I call credibility laundering, kind of like financial laundering, but with emotional currency. And if you're not familiar, laundering is when you take something dirty, like stolen money, and run it through something that looks legit so it comes out clean. And this guy does the same thing with the truth. He'll give you one honest detail, so the rest of what he says sounds trustworthy just by association. And so many of us fall for it because it sounds real, because it kind of is real. But that's not the point. That's the trick. The truth is the bait. The lie is the hook. So now let's talk about why we want to believe it. This is the part that nobody wants to admit out loud. Sometimes we believe liars because it's easier than accepting the truth. You want him to be healing. You want the version of him who cries and says he's trying to be the real one. Because if that's true, then maybe this wasn't all for nothing. Maybe you didn't waste your time, your energy, your body, your heart. This isn't love. I'm describing survival. This is investment protection. There's actually a name for that, right? The sunk cost fallacy. It's when we keep pouring into something that's clearly not working just because we've already put so much into it. So now believing in his potential feels safer than accepting that it might have been all manipulation. And in a second, I'm going to tell you the number one thing that these men do that makes even smart, self-aware women just ignore their gut. And once you see it, you're going to start noticing it everywhere. But first, let's talk about what's actually going on in your head. Cognitive dissonance. Now, Dr. Peter Salerno calls this traumatic cognitive dissonance, and he's right. It's that mental chaos that happens when your values and your reality do not match. So in an abusive relationship, it sounds like he lies, but he's honest about some things. He's mean, but he's been through a lot. He's trying. Isn't that what matters? No, babe. Effort without results is just a story, and he's feeding you just enough of a story to keep your brain spinning in circles. And it's not an accident either. If you're busy trying to make it all make sense, then you're not calling him out. You're not leaving. You're probably not even breathing. Confusion is his smokescreen. And actually, confusion isn't a side effect, right? It's the strategy. He doesn't want you clear-headed. He wants you dizzy, second-guessing yourself, and too emotionally exhausted to start over. Speaking of second-guessing, let's talk about the shame layer, because sometimes you keep believing because you don't want to feel like a fool. You've defended him to your friends, you let him back in, you told yourself that this time would be different. So if you admit now that he's still lying, that he's always been lying, what does that say about you? That shame, the embarrassment, it's not yours, it's his. But he knows that you'll carry it anyway. That's why he doesn't even have to be a convincing liar. He just needs you to be afraid of being wrong about him. Like, you get that, right? Because if you're afraid of being wrong, then you'll kind of believe anything that lets you avoid admitting it. Now, here's a big one. Fake accountability. I know, I messed up. I've been working on myself. Oh, I hate who I've become when we fight. Sounds good, right? But it's not accountability. It's image control. Abusive men are all about image control. It's a reset button. The moment he says something vulnerable, you stop being mad and you start hoping again. And when you push for more, you're the problem. I already said sorry. What else do you want from me? Actual change? But he doesn't have that, right? This guy has sound bites, like these little emotional phrases that work on you. And it's different for everybody, but he knows what works on you. So he keeps using them. You see how his words don't match his actions? He's not confessing to grow. He's confessing to distract you from what he's not fixing. Let's keep going, because the next one, it is so sneaky. He makes you feel special, like you're the one who finally sees him, right? You're the only one who's ever truly loved him, the one who gets him when nobody else in his life ever has. And that makes you think, this is different. I'm different. He's never had someone like me before. I can fix him. I can heal him. I can love him. So when he lies, cheats, manipulates, you don't leave. You stay because you believe that you're the exception, but you're not the exception. You're the target. And if he can make you feel chosen, he knows that you'll tolerate treatment that you would never accept from anyone else. That makes them feel really special. Now, before I wrap this, let me say the part that honestly, to me, cuts the deepest. Abusers don't even want full trust. They don't want honesty. They just don't want to be seen. They want just enough belief to keep you compliant and just enough confusion to keep you quiet. They don't need you to believe everything. That's not even the point. They just need the doubt, right? That's why this works. And that number one thing that I mentioned earlier, that little seed of self-doubt, that's all it takes. That's what makes their lies stick. It's not because they're good liars. Most of them are actually terrible liars. It's like reasonable doubt, that concept in court where a jury can't convict unless they're absolutely certain. He does the same thing in your head. He doesn't need you to believe that he's telling the truth. He just needs you to think, well, I can't prove that he's lying, and that's enough to stop you from walking away because you're waiting for proof. But you don't need proof. You just need to give yourself permission. So let me say this plain. If a man lies to you, manipulates you, and breaks your trust, does it matter why he does it? Does it matter that he had trauma, that his dad yelled, that his ex was crazy, allegedly? Or does it just matter that he's hurting you and he keeps doing it? So if you're twisting yourself into friggin' knots, trying to believe the good parts of a man who lies, that's not loyalty. That's not love. That's a trauma bond. You're in survival mode. And this is the most addictive relationship pattern in the world. But you deserve so much more than this. You do. So if you're stuck in that loop, if you're sick of analyzing a man who's straight up playing you, I want you to know you can break the cycle. You can rebuild without him. My Trauma Bond Recovery course is open right now. You'll learn my proven 3-step break and rebuild method. And we go deep. We don't just talk about what happened. We get you unstuck, rebuild your trust in yourself, and give you your power back. The link is below. And in the comments, I want you to tell me, what was the lie that you wanted to believe the most? I read every single one. And if this video called something out that you have been struggling to name, hit subscribe because we are just getting started.